Well, hello everyone. I'm Phil Corbell. I'm a co-founder of the Carbon Literacy Project and its Director of Advocacy. And I'll be one of your hosts today. We've got the next 90 minutes to explore what Carbon Literacy Action Day has been doing actually across the world. Before we get into that, let's just have a little bit of housekeeping. If you have questions for us in the duration of the webinar, please put them into the Q&A button at the bottom, because that's where we'll be able to answer your questions, whether we do them in text or take them on live. If you would like to, if you're not a panelist and would like to share something of your experience of Carbon Literacy Action Day today, please do write that down in the chat so we can relay that to people tuning in today. We are recording, as you probably spotted. So, yep. I guess that's sort of all the housekeeping, no emergency exits or anything. So I think that's all we have by way of housekeeping. I'd like to introduce my co-pilot, Dave Coleman. Dave, if you'd just like to pop up and say hi. Dave is the other co-founder and the managing director of the Carbon Literacy Project, and Dave will be chipping in as we go through with insights and other information from across the day. And we've just, in the way of these things, this is a live broadcast, as you'll have spotted. We have just heard in the last half hour that we have certified our 77,000th learner just in the last half hour. That's how fast things are going with the Carbon Literacy Project. I would just, in terms of numbers, the person that's been holding the project together is my colleague Chloe. Chloe, if you were able to pop up, I would love to ask you about some of the numbers coming in today so far.
Hi everyone.
Hi Chloe.
Hi.
So we started with a huge experience of what's going on, a huge range of participants. Who's actually trained and completed their, sorry, how many people have organizations have completed today?
Yes, so I can report that we had over 115 organizations taking part today, and around the world. So I've got so far 12 nations confirmed, included England, Ireland, Wales, Scotland, Jersey, the Isle of Man. We've got Canada, the United States, France, Peru, Australia, and New Zealand. So it's a very, very exciting day. We obviously will be gathering the final numbers across the next few days, and we're hoping to have over 1,000 people getting carbon literate certified simultaneously today. So it's very exciting.
Thank you, Chloe. So Chloe, thank you so much. We'll probably be hearing from you before the end of the webinar. Thank you so much. So yeah, we're going to try to talk to 14 of the projects that Chloe was alluding to, 14 out of the 115. And we might have a couple of videos to show you as well. But in time on fashion, time's clicking on, so I'd like to go to our first project, which is in Jersey. Now, in the way of these things, sometimes we would be talking to one person, but not Jersey. No. Jane, hello.
Hiya.
Lovely to see you there. I hope you've got it a bit. Hi everyone. I hope you've got it a bit warmer than we have up in Manchester. I don't know. No, I don't think so. But Jane, what's been going on with your project? Well, now, let's set the scene before we talk about today. What's been happening with carbon literacy in Jersey generally?
So we're really excited to join you first up today. We've got a live event going on behind us to celebrate Carbon Literacy Action Day. We've just had an opening speech from our Minister for Energy and Climate Change, who's in the background here. And then we're shortly going to have a keynote speech from Professor Liz Bentley, who's going to talk to us about climate change and particularly around some of the stuff that's been going on in Jersey. We're really excited by the Carbon Literacy Project because part of our roadmap to reach net zero is very much about community actions and behaviours. So for us, this net zero network that we're launching tonight here in Jersey is very much people who've taken the carbon literacy training and that we're going to take it to another level. So you can see just behind me, that way, is not a Christmas tree, it's a carbon literacy pledge tree for the day. And what we've got on there is some actions that people are going to make some extra commitments when they leave. They're going to take a tag and commit to something extra. But we're also asking them to make pledges about how they're going to help us roll out that carbon literacy project across the island as we go forward. So for those of you who don't know where Jersey is, we're a little island in the coast of France, and we are a Crown dependency. So we're very small, we're 9 by 5 miles, or for those of you in kilometres, we're 120 kilometres squared. So we're quite small, we've got a population of about 100,000 people, but we've committed to Paris through being a signatory through the UK. So we're using carbon literacy as a way for us all to change our behaviours together, because we know even a tiny place like us has the potential to make a really big difference. So that's really what we're looking to do carbon literacy wise. We've had training courses going on today, and we've also had one of our partners has been leading. Ian, you can give us a wave in the background there. He's been leading carbon literacy walks today, so going out and about with a variety of businesses, local businesses, walking and talking about carbon and understanding climate change. And you're absolutely right, Phil, the weather isn't great at the moment. Jersey got battered by Storm Kieran last month, and it's had quite a major impact on the island. It feels like it's not stopped raining since then, and it still feels really windy. So actually, this is really, really timely for all of us here.
Yeah, we've moved on from it being this sort of future stuff going on, and we will be going to the Isle of Man later. There must be something in the water about islands. Jane, I mean, looking back, this started as a government initiative. This you picked up on our civil service shareable training kit, but you've obviously seen the sense of whole place action here. Have you seen the take up as is there a feeling of collaboration, or is it something, it's something we're being told to do by the government? There's a bit of a spectrum there. Maybe the minister would like to come here. No, she says, that's very wise. I mean, but the strength of a whole place approach to carbon literacy, how's that going?
Yeah, so it's going really well. So we're actually stood inside our college, the Islands College at the moment. So the college have been really leading the way with their carbon literacy work, and so that's really exciting for us that they're starting that journey with young people who are studying. Within our roadmap, we've got a COP26 education pledge. So if you remember back at COP26, all the education ministers at the time made pledges about that. So we have a policy in our carbon neutral roadmap around COP26, and we've just appointed our first person to help lead us through that. So we've got Bethany Lloyd, who's part of our team now, who's leading that. So actually he's working really closely with education and with children. But for us, it's really very much the focus we've been having as the government is on training the adults. We think that's where it's really needed. And then we've got private businesses who are also going out and consorting, helping other businesses. So we've got a local company who are delivering carbon literacy in the construction sector, which is really exciting to us. So we're really keen to see how we can mix things up and get things really engaging people, because we know that for us to really make a difference, it's about that collective behaviour.
Absolutely. And the chance to move a whole place forward together. Thank you so much. I wish we had time to talk about the walks, because the whole idea we could do carbon literacy anywhere, even on a walk. I particularly like that. But from here, from Carbon Literacy HQ, thank you so much, every single one of you, for participating in this. We're at the beginning of something very special here. Good luck with all your efforts, and we look forward to helping you tell the story as you go forward. Thanks so much, and have a great evening. Take care.
Having us.
So that's a fantastic start for our webinar today. And we go straight from a small island to a rather large country. I quite like that link as well, because there's somewhere called Conestoga in Canada. There, I think we have another gathering, possibly. Am I right?
All right, we were muted, of course.
Of course, in the way of these things. Hi, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Anna Honadel. And I'm Amanda DiBattista, and we're joining today's webinar from Conestoga College in the School of Business in very dreary Kitchener, Ontario in Canada. We'd like to start off by offering our thanks to the Carbon Literacy Project for hosting us, and we'd like to introduce our whole cohort of people.
Oh, look at you guys. Fantastic. So hi from Manchester to Conestoga. Fantastic. I should have explained this at the outset, folks. When we started this, Dave and I, we had a good place to start in Manchester, but we knew that if it only worked in Manchester, if it only worked in the UK, really, yeah, fine, but not doing the job. So this international thing is absolutely amazing. So Conestoga leading the way in Canada, and dare I say in North America. Not that I think that's a fair thing, but you've been leading this from the business school, but for the community as well. Tell us more about the training you've been doing.
So since January 2023, we've trained nearly 100 people to be carbon literate. We've been offering an online synchronous version as well as an in-person version of our carbon literacy microcredential. And we've trained both Conestoga employees and external industry partners. And our newly designed online asynchronous offering allows us to train more often and be adaptable to the needs of our learners.
And what sort of learners are you putting through? It looks like, from what I could see of this great room behind you, a good range of people. Who's coming forward for the learning?
Well, here at Conestoga, we have a really wide range of employees that take the carbon literacy microcredential, including faculty and support and admin staff. We are also going to be sort of opening it up going forward. And we've also engaged with industry partners.
Fantastic. So something for everyone. And what sort of reactions have you been getting today?
Well, I mean, maybe these folks can tell.
This is good. We could just about see the positivity coming through there. Fantastic.
Yeah, we've got
and what next for Conestoga College and carbon literacy?
Well, we're prime champions, and we're really committed to responsible and accountable management education. And we're really working hard to grow our carbon literacy microcredential and the offerings that we have here so that our faculty and staff can incorporate it into all aspects of what we do here at the college. And so that we can grow a really strong and robust community of carbon literate folks in our communities, including with community partners and our industry partners. So yeah, we're really excited to just grow the program even further.
Fantastic. I mean, this whole thing, you can't keep it within the walls of a place. This has to be for everyone. That certainly was a theme in Jersey. It's a theme with you guys as well. So again, great thanks from all of us here. Also an equally dreary north of England as well. I think it's a running theme at the moment. Thanks so much for your support, and we really look forward to hearing more about what you guys are up to. Oh, sorry, I missed out that bit. What time is it there?
It's noon. It's noon, so we've got lunch as well. You can see.
Excellent. I'm very glad. Lovely to meet you both. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll hear more from you again soon. Take care. Bye. So yeah, we've heard from Jersey, we've heard from Canada, from a whole island looking at things, from a community in Ontario, in Canada. But now I think we should go to our next door county, over to Yorkshire, and hear what's been going on in Barnsley. I'm going to have to do this come in Barnsley
Copy.
Especially with that backdrop, Sarah, Sasha. Sorry. So from one college in Ontario to Barnsley, you've been getting up to some awesome stuff in Barnsley, haven't you? So first off, why carbon literacy and Barnsley College?
So to give a bit of background to myself, so I'm the sustainability officer for Barnsley College, but I've also had a very squiggly career since I graduated from university. And I think it's just wonderful to see this happening today, because pretty much every organisation that I've worked in since graduating, which wasn't that long ago, has started carbon literacy, and I've been spreading that almost everywhere I've been going, which is why it's now in Barnsley College. And we launched a sustainability strategy just over a year ago now, and one of our 6 key milestones is to train 100% of staff in carbon literacy. So a really
Sorry, you just said 100%.
Yes, 100% of
Everyone.
staff.
So not just
full-time
academic,
staff.
not just facilities.
No, absolutely everyone. Our reason being, and obviously full-time staff, because getting our part-time staff is a little bit harder, but we are offering it to everybody. But our full-time staff make up obviously the majority of our cohort of staff. And it's really important for us not to just have academic staff, but our business support staff as well. And we're a huge college. We've got lots of different estates over different counties as well, and around 8,000 to 10,000 students, depending on the academic year. So we've got a big reach, and we started off carbon literacy. We really kicked it off this year, to be honest, and we've been able to kind of catalyst it by getting carbon literacy ambassadors in every one of our departments, so both in academic and in support departments. And I was able to kind of leverage a whole staff training day in the summer, and it's just blown since then. So we've got, I think, around 60% of our staff already carbon literacy trained, and that's kind of enabled us to now certify our students. So on this wonderful Carbon Literacy Action Day, it marks a week of learning for our learners. So we're now delivering this to our students, which is just absolutely phenomenal. It's not something that I thought we would be able to achieve when I was writing the strategy this time last year. So as well as this, obviously training all of our students with our wonderful carbon literacy certified staff, we've also been able to take it out into the community, which is one of our college values, transforming lives. So I've been working with the Positive Climate Partnership, in partnership with some of wonderful colleagues from ITS, Inzygo, Barnsley Council, and Sheffield South Yorkshire Climate Alliance. I hope I've not missed anybody off. And we've created a Barnsley specific carbon literacy toolkit, and I'm really pleased to say that the first training from that toolkit happened, in fact finished today, sorry, and I've heard some great things from that. So we've got lots going on, and we really envision that our students will become a part of that wider learning, and hopefully they'll become trainers using that toolkit to spread carbon literacy across both Barnsley, South Yorkshire, and hopefully they'll be attending this in a few years' time as well.
We'll be hearing from some other sort of South Yorkshire-ish people in a bit as well, over in a place they call Doncaster, apparently. Yeah, Sasha, it's fantastic news. And particularly the role of colleges in the UK about bridging the green skills gap as well. So bringing this and, breaking it out of the sort of university and graduate learning side and making it relevant to further education learners as well, and taking it into the community. What started there with a generic colleges toolkit, you've already customized, localized it, and making it work out into the community. So I'm taking words out of your mouth only because I'm having to rush a bit. But Sasha, thank you so much from Spaceport Barnsley. Sorry, this is your backdrop. It's fantastic. And thanks so much for the enthusiasm. And as ever, we really look forward to hearing more about what's going on. I think there's something going on in Yorkshire. Saying that from the wrong side of the Pennines. Non-UK folk, there's a little sort of row of hills down the middle of the country called the Pennines, and allegedly we're not meant to get on either side. which is nonsense. Obviously, when it comes to carbon literacy, we make this work. Before we go down to London, I'm going to bring in Dave, our MD and co-founder. Dave, what are you thinking of what we're hearing so far?
It's amazing. I mean, it's when you kind of work centrally in the organization, you know, we correspond with organizations, you do Zoom meetings and things, it's all kind of very piecemeal. But this is an amazing event to be able to bring people together all at the same time. By the way, I should have said good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everybody who's actually watching the broadcast. I didn't say hello earlier. I'm Dave Coleman. I'm the co-founder and managing director of the project. But it's amazing to be able to get everybody on a call and literally go from 1 minute from Yorkshire to Canada, and we've got some other really exciting destinations to go to. Phil, it might be worth just covering the headline number for the project. Someone's put something in Q&A saying, this is astounding. What numbers are you looking at for training in total? Alexis Percival asked that question. So do you want to share a headline?
Well, we've just clocked our 77,000th learner as a total for carbon literacy. We're certainly looking at over 1,000 completing their training today, and we'll have more of an idea towards the end of the webinar as well. But it's also the geographical spread, and we'll come back. Alexis is saying add another 10 onto my training. Okay, that's 1,010. Thank you. Yeah, fantastic. And we'll be hearing more of that. Do throw in your comments as we go. Dave, will come back to you in a bit. Thanks for joining us. And having been a little bit parochial about celebrating the north of England, I really think we ought to go down south to a town they call London, where actually Transport for London have been doing astounding stuff. Non-UK people don't think just red buses. Transport for London is a staggeringly ambitious, unique organization, possibly in terms of what it does. And Josh has been driving the carbon literacy push there. You've been a little busy today then, Josh. What have you been up to? So
today, Phil, we've been running 3 carbon literacy training courses at our head office. Yes.
Not just one.
3, yeah. So we're hopefully have reached around 40 people today. Alongside that, we released our chief officers' pledges that they made earlier in the year. So we're an organization of 27,000 people, and all of our leadership team took the course earlier this year and made very ambitious carbon literacy pledges that we have now made available for the whole organization to see.
Whoa. Can I just rewind on that? So 27,000 staff, yes, not just bus drivers. And you put the entire leadership team through. And now you've published their action pledges to everyone.
Yeah, so that was released today on our internal news site, alongside, as well as that, an online community that we have started for people to talk about their pledges and get support with their pledges, and generally kind of create that community of those people that have been through the carbon literacy training course at Transport for London.
Wow. And you've really gone for the internal, building your own internal training capacity model. Someone was telling me an extraordinary number of trainers that you're training, not trainees, but trainers you're training.
Yeah, so we set ourselves a very ambitious target this financial year to train 3,000 people. And so then doing a bit of maths on this and sticking with a kind of internal peer-to-peer delivery model, we worked out we needed about 75 trainers to do this. So we have 75 people across the organization who give up their time to run training courses, and in turn are upskilling themselves on carbon and becoming carbon ambassadors and leads in their area, which is very exciting.
So it's not just the training delivered on the day, they naturally rise as advocates and champions within I mean, again, if we talk about you don't just do the public transport, you've got responsibilities around active travel, EV, congestion charging, or whatever. It's a massive brief across a huge city. But I think what you've just described there is a working example of how you scale this. through both in terms of who you target, in terms of the training, and building that capacity internally. So yeah, quite staggering in terms of what you're doing. How did it go today, by the way, quickly before we wrap up?
It went brilliantly, yeah. And sort of building on our momentum from today, tomorrow we're going to be making our courses for January available to our colleagues. So that's about 500 spaces on courses through January that we'll be making available. And typically they get booked up within a couple of hours. So people need to be quick. Yeah.
That's amazing. Josh, thank you so much. I wish we could talk for longer, but we do have to move on elsewhere. But thanks for your support and for the great work going on at Transport for London as well. So yeah, quite extraordinary. Alexis accuses us of creating a monster. I think that's a bit derogatory, actually. I know what you mean, Alexis. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's an extraordinary thing that's happening. Yes, indeed, Alexis, a beautiful one. Thank you so much. Yeah, so amazing things going on from the people behind the red buses and the tube trains and the extraordinary work going on in London. Going over to a startup in an equally stunning location. If we could, I'm going to have to do that slightly cheesy come in California, just because I've always wanted to say that. Could we hear what's...
you? Hi.
So over in San Diego, Adrienne, first off, what time is it there? Let's get that bit right.
It's 9:27 a.m.
AM. Okay, so it's very reasonable then.
On the 4th, on Clad, yes.
Excellent. In Good Company, who are they?
So In Good Company, we are a startup, not-for-profit organization. So we're a public benefit nonprofit organization in San Diego, California. And our mission is to repair systemic injustices through decarbonization projects. And a lot of what we do is climate education and then also decarbonization in action. So those are projects we're trying to get up and running and funded, but our education programs are well on their way.
So this emphasis on climate justice as well. So it's not just simply footprint. Yeah, actually bringing a lot of the rest in there. How's that expressing itself in your course?
Well, the course is really focused on what has evolved since the Industrial Revolution and really the connection between exploitation of people and the planet that has gotten us to this place where we are now, and some of the legacies and continued practices of exploitation. And so it's a really interesting and engaging way to look at it. And our participants are absolutely wonderful and really delve deep into this topic. It's really great.
Who are your, do you have a typical learner yet? You're really just getting going, aren't we?
We don't have a typical learner yet. So this is our very first cohort. So this is Carbon Literacy Cohort 1 for IGC. And we have a range of people. Most of them are located in San Diego, California, where we are. But we have a couple of folks from the LA area, the San Francisco Bay Area, and then also somebody from Spokane in Washington. Our youngest learner is 16. And then we have a whole spectrum. So we have 12 learners in our first cohort.
And that's working well for you, that diversity.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And such great conversations are coming out of it.
Great stuff. What next for IGC and carbon literacy in the US?
Well, I think what we're really trying to do is run with this idea of creating a low carbon culture in San Diego. And so one of the things we're really doing that I feel is unique is we're increasing awareness of carbon literacy through the opportunity to sponsor a participant and climate justice. And so, for example, if there's somebody who maybe is a busy professional and has financial resources, but not time to dedicate to decarbonization and learning about climate, they can donate their money to support somebody who can go through the training for free. And so there's a lot of ways to engage in this movement that we're trying to create in San Diego, but we're really looking to build on this carbon literacy for community action with other courses for specific industries, for higher education. We have a number of great large universities here in San Diego. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm just so pleased to be able to bring carbon literacy to San Diego, and so pleased to be part of this webinar. So thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome, Adrienne. And of course, this undercurrent of this is not a future threat. You've been hit by extreme weather this year as well. Is that increasing engagement, or is it making people go, oh no, actually I've got other things to worry about?
In terms of creating the course and activities, I don't have to worry about people not having examples, which is kind of a bummer, if we're thinking about local impacts and connecting impacts to different emissions and that kind of thing. But I feel like there's this curve that we have to get through of grief and despair, where you sort of retreat a bit, and then we liken it to if your child is sick, you can be upset and grieve that, but then you rise to the occasion and you do everything in your power to fight. And so that's where we are, and I love the call to focus on the positive, to focus on what we really can do. And so we're really running with that, and it's fun, actually, even though the gravity of the issue and intertwined issues is not fun at all, but when you're working with people that you really enjoy and engaging in different stories, it becomes more enjoyable.
Adrienne, I'm sure that's a common thread felt by all of us, that balance, and without giving the tools to tackle the grief, resolve the grief, what are we doing? So, Adrienne, I don't know if you know the English phrase, power to your elbow. No, I
no,
thought,
sorry.
So sorry about that. It just means, hey, get in there and do your best. All strength to you. Can't wait to helping you tell the rest of your story as well, Adrienne.
Thanks
so much for joining us. Take care. So another inspiring story there in the States. From there, we go over to one of our most enthusiastic employers, it has to be said. There's a backstory, as in which I haven't got time to go into, about an amazing initiative going out across the entire automotive sector. Thank you, Auto Trader. But one company that's picked up on that is Copart. So if we could hear from Copart, that would be marvelous. Give me some reassurance that this smooth running carries on smoothly. Holly, great to see you.
Hello, lovely to see you.
Obviously, many people in the UK will know Copart, but for those that don't know Copart, what do you do?
I'm not sure people in the UK know what Copart do, but fundamentally we are a vehicle remarketing and recycling business. So any damaged vehicle, end-of-life vehicle that needs to be written off, or you need a car and you need a spare part, we're the company to come to keep the life of that vehicle going. And
you've picked up on carbon literacy. Why?
Well, our business is looking towards a plan to net zero, and a big part of that is to educate our teammates. We're in a really carbon heavy industry, and we're already in a position where we're looking to recycle and be a positive part of that industry, and we want to make a bigger difference. So we wanted to educate our teammates, to get them thinking about our processes, how we operate, how we can think forward and be resilient as a business, and have that positive impact. So
I've got this mental image, I've got this layman's image of what you do. There's huge machines just crushing things, and
it's satisfying to watch, but
so I'm not too far off, but point being, because I was talking to your sector fellows at Cinetic back in the day, and wondering, well, hang on, what's the link? Circular economy, of course. You're keeping stuff in circulation, keeping it out of landfill. All those valuable materials are what you're doing.
That life cycle of a vehicle, we're a key part of that end of life piece.
How's it gone today, Holly?
Really well. We had a group of 15 of us. I delivered an online session. It started last week. We finished it today with a training provider, TRS Training. They work in the automotive world as well, so they do all the HGV driver training, and it's something that they're looking to bring in to their business. So we're helping them on their carbon literacy organization journey, and supporting them delivering that training out to their learners, so we can spread it widely and spread the word.
We love a good cascade here at the Carbon Literacy Project. And what's next for COPART and carbon literacy, Holly?
Well, we recently got our gold in our carbon literacy organisation, so we're really, really proud of that. So platinum is obviously next on the cards. So we are embedding the carbon literacy training as a mandatory piece of people's induction, so they get that early doors and understand the ethos of what we're all about and where we want to go. And I think it's also a continuous learning piece. So we're going to build on that and make sure it's not just a one and done course. It's going to be a continuous piece of learning.
That's a really good thing to take away. And again, many of the previous interviewees have talked about what comes next. We can start something with carbon literacy. How do you sustain it? So Holly, thanks so much for all the support and the great enthusiasm. Look forward to hearing loads more from COPART as well. Thanks so much.
No, thank you. Bye.
And so this I love this ricochet around different folk doing all sorts of stuff, but some common themes coming through as well. We heard previously from our first island, and we're going to go to our second, over to the Isle of Man, where I really want to see Daphne. And maybe Sarah as well. Oh yeah, excellent. So welcome. How are things on the Isle of Man? Equally dark and rainy like Manchester, or a bit better? No, dark and rainy. Fine.
Quite icy, I think.
Could you introduce yourselves as to what your roles are with the project there?
Daphne, you first.
Okay, thanks. I'm Daphne Kane. I'm one of the elected politicians serving within the House of Keys as part of our parliament, which is Tynwald. And I'm currently been given the chair of the Climate Change Transformation Board.
Fantastic. So you're not quite a minister, but chairing a sort of scrutiny committee type thing.
Yeah, the board that I chair actually includes two of our government ministers for the environment and one for infrastructure, along with a vice chair from our upper chamber, Paul Crane. So there's four of us with some advisors and officers supporting the work, and a very enthusiastic paid team which is working across all our government departments, trying to ensure that the Isle of Man meets its declared interim targets towards net zero by 2050, and the island plan and the economic strategy. Everything is supporting us going on that journey. And we very recently have signed up to enable all our legislators, but also hopefully our wider government departments and public service, to sign up for Earthscope for carbon literacy training.
Fantastic.
So some of it's very hard battle, some of it isn't. But that's with a wonderful social enterprise that has just started on the Isle of Man. But I'll leave Sarah to tell you more about that.
Thank you. You linked beautifully there. So Sarah, you've been doing the training. What's been happening?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, massively exciting. And Daphne, thank you so much for going into the sort of backstory there. So yes, I am the founder of Earthscope. We are a social enterprise based on the Isle of Man, and our mission is to create a pioneering nature first nation where every decision made by every person puts nature at its core. And this is a really key part of that. So yeah, we are the delivery partners for carbon literacy training for the Isle of Man Civil Service, which is just a fantastic an exciting ripple effect. You know, we were talking about these ripple effects before, about all these different places doing lots and lots of incredible things. And the fact that the Chief Minister has signed up to take the carbon literacy course in January, leading by example from the top, transformation is not far behind, I think.
You know what? You're going to have a world first there. I can say that with confidence. First Chief Minister.
And Deputy Chief Minister too, we're hoping, is also good.
Come on, let's do this.
So we'd like to think that we'll get to silver, if not more. And of course, it all fits in. The Isle of Man is the only whole nation designated a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, and that's coming up for reaccreditation by 2026. And it would be wonderful that everything we're now doing feeds in to that whole ideal of sustainable development.
Absolutely, and not drawing the line just at carbon footprint, but looking at all the interlinking boundaries around that as well. There's going to be so much more we can hear from you as well. Yes, another nice thing going on in the north. Not that we're being parochial given that we've got such a global webinar going on now, but fantastic. I'd love to hear more, but in the time-honored fashion, time is against us. Thanks so much for joining us, and do stay with us for the rest of the webinar. Thank you for your support, and can't wait to be supporting you further. Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Goromayu.
Cheers. We go straight over to a nation that's been supporting carbon literacy from early doors, and I think Kunal are online. Kunal Comrie. Not just Jason. Hello.
Not just me. We are here. Hello, welcome everyone. Noswaithar Choroiso. We are Sylvia and Jason, sustainability trainers from Canal Cymru Sustain Wales. Just celebrated a great day here with just over 20 soon-to-be carbon literate citizens who've enjoyed a day of training and a low-carbon, vegan and seasonal lunch with us.
What was the menu? Come on, let's get some detail. Come on.
It was a lentil and winter vegetable stew.
Sounds very yummy.
Yeah. It was fantastic. They'll be joining the 1,000 people that we have successfully certified now over the last few years.
Yes, absolutely. We need drum rolls and fanfares for that, don't we?
So great to see you all. Hope you've had as successful a day as we have. The Canal team and some of our learners are still here. So everybody here is either carbon literate or will be very, very soon, thanks to Sylvia's training today.
It's worth mentioning Canal need so much credit for being pivotal to what's been happening across Wales and beyond, has to be said. One smallish charity just taking on carbon literacy and disseminating it at scale across all sorts of places, which we don't have time to go into. So just hurrah for that. And it's, if you need an example of a small charity doing amazing things out of Cardiff, but right across the nation, you've got it there. How's it gone today? What's been going on?
I'll hand over to Sylvia, our lead trainer for the day.
Well, maybe I'll even hand over to Katie, who was one of our shining stars on our cohort today. Katie working for this very building. So this is a social science research park that we are based in. This is where we are actually housed. And Katie were owned by Cardiff University, but Katie actually works for Spark, this very centre, and was one of the cohort alongside Karen, who's one of our new starters here at Canal Cymru. So as Jason mentioned, all of us in Canal Cymru are either already carbon literate or, thanks to today on Carbon Literacy Action Day, will very shortly be carbon literate, including one new staff member who hasn't even started yet. She took a day off from her current work. She's going to start with us in January in order to join in and become carbon literate on Carbon Literacy Action Day. I'm going to hand over to Katie to say a few words about how today went.
Lovely.
Katie, how did it go?
Really good. It was a really lovely day, and Sylvie led the day very well and kept us all engaged. But I think the things for me that stand out are the legislation in Wales that is helping this kind of programme. And I think the thing that I really liked about it is her geeing us up and making us kind of think in kind of big, bold ideas of how we can take what we've learned forward within our organisation. So we had some really nice ideas from the groups around changing procurement systems and induction systems and all sorts of things to kind of take into account what we've learned and how we can kind of embed that within our organisations more broadly. So yeah,
fantastic.
Really
again, you're sounding like you're doing exactly that thing of optimizing the use of your nous and your position to do your best thing, which is absolutely what it's all about. And I'm getting the feeling that it was enjoyable too. I suppose you have to say that. Tell us when you're not with it.
The stew was great as well.
I hope the rest of it was as well. Again, I wish we could hear more, but thanks so much for making time to join us today. Do hang on for the rest of the webinar.
Thank you, diolch yn fawr.
And back at you. Thank you so much. Cheers, and keep up the great work there too. So I'm going to take a brief breather because Dave Coleman is about to go to another rather special location that we've all been hearing from quite a bit over the last few days. Over to you, Dave.
Thanks very much, Phil. I was just smiling there because you when you were talking to the Isle of Man, you were saying about another great initiative coming from the north. And coming from Manchester, we use that expression a lot, usually meaning the north of England, whereas you actually meant north as in hemisphere. So we're adopting quite the scale today. The Carbon Literacy Project and the Carbon Literacy Trust that sits behind us is a United Nations observer organisation. So we're privileged to have access to the COP climate negotiations and actually attend. So we're going to now go over to Dubai, and we're going to introduce Sarah Davis, who is our lead of our education team. I was just looking out the window behind you there to see if we could see a little bit of Dubai, because I know you were trying to organise things so we could. There we go. Lots of cars, I think, moving around on the motorway there. Hopefully, at least some of them electrically powered. So tell us, you're there for the 2 weeks of COP, Sarah. How's it going so far?
Yeah, hi Dave. Hi everyone. It's quite exciting actually to be here. I'd forgotten how big Dubai is the first thing to say. The expo site is absolutely enormous. It's reachable by public transport, which is fantastic, but it's quite a long commute. And then when you get off the metro station, you get onto a shuttle bus, you're taken efficiently to one gate in the green zone, and then walk around efficiently to the next part where you're supposed to be going, unless you're like me and you take the scenic route and get lost. Today was the first day that I didn't actually get lost. So I feel like I've turned a corner there. It's quite nice as well because I used to live in Dubai quite a few years ago. An expo was being built and there was a lot of hype about expo, but I left before it was actually built. So it is actually quite nice to see it. It's really hot. And maybe that sounds really obvious because it's Dubai, but I remember when I used to live here, like really looking forward to the winter. So December would be relatively cool. December and January would be relatively cool, sort of, 20, 25 degrees, cool enough for boots, cool enough for jackets. And I've packed accordingly, and it's just not. It's around the 30-degree mark. So I've been melting quite a bit. Quite a few people who I've spoken to have said that this summer has been a long summer, winter's come later, and it's been a really hot summer. And it's just a reminder, I think it's quite apt as to what we're all doing here, that there is actually visible, very noticeable climate change within the host country.
So tell us why you're there and exactly why you've gone out to represent us, and what you've been up to.
Yeah, I've been working on and consulting on a course with it's a three-way partnership basically between the Carbon Literacy Project, Cambridge University Press, and an educational provider called Alif. So they've been working with the Ministry of Education there, and the plan is to provide a carbon literacy accredited course, which will be available for all students in public schools within the UAE. At the moment, it's not an accredited carbon literacy course. It is a course that follows the carbon literacy framework, i.e. it's scaffolding learning into action. So it's been piloted and it's been used. And I actually attended the Eco Champs ceremony last week, which was for the first sort of pilot of students that went through the program during the summer. And so that they brought me out here basically to be able to talk about the project, to be able to talk about that project. And of course, while I'm here, I'll be talking about the Carbon Literacy Project too.
Yeah, so obviously we've attended COP previously. We attended Glasgow, and we attended Paris. It can be overwhelming, and it also can be a bit of a bubble at times, that you're surrounded by thousands of people. But in some ways, it's a bit like at a football match. Sometimes you get the best view from watching on TV rather than being in the middle of the match. But what's the vibe in the room? So we read news stories and we get a certain vibe from the conversations you've had. What are people talking about?
Well, it's really quite inspiring in lots of ways, because I'm in the green zone, so I'm not in the main area where people are doing the negotiations. I've been in the Green and Education Hub quite a bit. So I've been talking to lots of educators from different parts of the world. Like yesterday, I was with people from where was I with people from? Sudan, Egypt, the UAE, and today I was with people from India, Oman, Kuwait. And what was really nice was hearing how educators all over the world really want to do something. They really want to work towards sustainability. And that just reminds us of that the people on the ground, no matter where you are in the world, that are trying to do it, to do the right thing. There's tens of thousands of people who are trying to do the right thing. And that feels fantastic and really inspiring. But to come back on your point, Dave, about, not exactly knowing what's going on, that is so true. I'm finding things out on the news in the evening, and useful messages from Phil as well about what's actually going on in the green zone, because it's actually really quite difficult to find out what's going on. So that's quite an interesting part of it. One thing that I would say is I've never been inside a COP before. I've only ever been on the outside with the activists. So it's been quite an unusual thing, I suppose, in that I hadn't expected there to be so many trade fairs, so many stalls trading on things. And I don't know whether that's usual or not, but that's something that's taken me by surprise. There's been lots of places to go and eat vegan food, which has pleased me, and recycling facilities and composting facilities. And yesterday there was a DJ set, so that was also quite interesting.
I'm glad that you're finding ways of using your time usefully while you're you're out there, Sarah. So briefly, what have you got in store now? Because you're there for the whole of COP. So what's coming up next?
So this morning I did a really interesting panelist talk for a Prime conference, and it was called Energizing Sustainability. Sorry, it's been a long day. It's coming up to 10 o'clock here, and I've been on the go since 8 a.m. So sorry, my words are all a bit scrambled. But yeah, I was in a conference this morning, and I was talking about how academia and industry could relate better, and I was talking about carbon literacy as a tool for this. And it was really nice. There was a chap next to me who's a professor at a university here, and he fully endorsed what I was saying. He'd just taken his carbon literacy course and wants basically to create a carbon literacy course for universities within the region. So I'm going to meet with him probably tomorrow, I imagine, or certainly later this week. I've got a few other meetings lined up with the Alliance of Sustainable Schools, a hotel chain that I'm going to go and talk to some leadership there about designing a carbon literacy course. A couple of other contacts that have come from the Prime conference this morning, and possibly a couple more speaking gigs that have yet to be confirmed that will take place within COP itself.
Cool. So glad you're finding ways to keep yourself out of mischief and more than fully occupied. Thank you very much for representing us at COP this time around, Sarah. Keep up all the good work. And thanks for joining us now, because I do appreciate it. It is the end of a long day. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Lovely to see you. We're demonstrating, not just because Sarah is at Dubai, but just all of the organizations that you've already met on this call more widely, that whilst we started carbon literacy in Manchester and in England and then in the UK and then in Europe and then beyond, very much we've now become a global project. We're a charity, so we have to fund ourselves each way we go. So I'm going to make no apologies for making an advertisement now of a thing called the Big Give, which is an initiative that takes place for charities in the UK each year. Donors offer money to us as a charity on the basis that they'll give us the money if we can find someone else that will match their donation. So the Big Give, approaching Christmas this year, is underway at the moment. It only runs for a week. It runs out tomorrow. We've got quite an ambitious target, which we haven't quite met yet. So we'll put a link in the chat. There's also a webpage which we'll link directly to, so you can go and have a look at that. If you or organizations you work with or audiences you work with wanted to make a donation to help us with carbon literacy work, and our target for next year is actually to do even more international work. We've been talking about this all year. Next year should be our year of internationalization. It's actually that work that we're seeking to fund using the Big Give and a number of other sources. So any donations you give through the website in the next 24 hours will get matched by somebody else. So every pound or dollar or euro you give at the moment will turn into 2. So we'll put a link to that in the chat so that if you want to, you can go and have a look at that. And as always, any donations are gratefully received. So I'll now hand back to Phil, who's got our next guests to introduce.
Thanks very much, Dave. And it's great to get that insight from Sarah on the ground at COP. And we feel that, I mean, I'm sure many of us watching this will feel the same sort of reservations about some of the news. Good stuff and bad going on there. Excuse me. But meanwhile, we crack on. A bit of a tagline for the whole rationale for Carbon Literacy Action Day is while they talk, we act. And every one of you participating here are a part of that. And some great chat going on there too. So from Dubai to Doncaster, isn't that just? Don't you think, Amy? That's quite a good link. It's a good thing I used to be in radio. You can see why I used to be in radio. Amy, one of our most enthusiastic champions, it has to be said. What do you do in Doncaster? What's your role with the council there? Oh, that's interesting, Amy. I'm afraid we can't hear you at the moment. This is maybe if you take out your headphones or no, still not getting you there. Amy, I'll tell you what we'll do. Oh, hello. Yeah,
can you hear me?
I can now, yeah. Loving the jumper as well, by the way. Good. so could you hear me before?
Yeah, I can hear you, but obviously you can't hear me.
But we can now. Amy, what's your role at Doncaster Council?
Yeah, so my job title, I'm really sorry, I've got no voice today. My job title is Low Carbon Development Officer, but realistically I work on climate education, community engagement and behaviour change side of that. So that really, the job title means nothing. Let me tell you what I actually do.
Fantastic. And now you this time last year, what happened in terms of, did you win something, you said?
No big, I don't think, Phil.
Oh, come on.
No, yeah, this time for our Action Day last year, we were actually one of the first Carbon Literacy Action Day Catalyst Award winners with Sonetic from Doncaster, and I think, was it Edith Cowan University?
Indeed.
Yay! I know all my people.
So the quick sidebar there, the Carbon Literacy Action Day Catalyst Award is something which we give to about 3 of the organizations that are doing the very, very most amazing things. And what an impossible task is being set to us this year, more of which stay tuned to our social media channels for that. But Amy, so who have you been training today?
So we got the brief from you apparently that we have to be bigger, bolder and better than last year. I think it was quite a big one for us to top, because we did have a really big day last year. But we've actually today we've expanded our carbon literacy program. So we launched 3 new toolkits with parish councils, with sports and with our social housing colleagues. And then we've had our actual council colleagues as well coming along. So we've had about 60 in total today. I think it is exactly 60 in total.
Wow.
All taken the course. There's only one of them left without actually completing the action plan. So we've got all the completed action plans ready today. We've had our CEO there, and we've had our cabinet member who, I don't know if you remember, we actually trained them at last Action Day. So they've been along today. Really importantly, the CEO has told everybody that they don't need to ask for permission. They can ask for forgiveness afterwards. So that was a nice message from him. And we've also made links with, so we're actually looking at further developing this. And you've probably seen that we've had a climate action week in the last week leading up to this. So Carbon Literacy Action Day is the finale to a week of community action. And that's really how we embedded this within our community and make sure we're consulting with them on what we actually change and bring them along on that journey. Throughout that, we've seen lots of stuff moving us to circular economy, lots of active travel stuff, lots of food waste and tree planting. And we've been kind of dropping that seed of we want to actually embed this carbon literacy training in community groups now, because you have that toolkit. And now today we've finally made that step to actually, yes, now you've experienced this. Now we're going to move this on into community groups as well. So big day. And it
Just
took me voice.
You have. This is the penalty for being in the thick of it, Amy. But just a quick plug. You mentioned the community group kit. For those of you who might not be aware of that, if you have community groups under your umbrella, we now have a shareable training kit for use for those community kits as well. And there's a great further discussion to be undertaken about that. Particularly if we're dealing with households of lower income, that we're not wagging fingers and saying reduce your footprint, because their footprints will be low. It's much more about the co-benefits of action, of climate action for those folk as well. Amy, like everyone, I wish we could speak longer. So so sorry, but we do have to charge on to our next interview. Thank you so much for all of that as well. And you do have that problem. How do you top this? That's going to be the thing. It's great. I know that you will rise to that challenge as well. So Amy, thank you for your extraordinary enthusiasm for what we're doing. Doncaster, not just the council, but the city and the area as well. Like I say, something in the water in that South Yorkshire, isn't there? Hey. So Amy, thank you so much. We'll speak again soon, I'm sure. Take care. From Doncaster Council, we're going to go to an organisation that has oversight of a huge footprint, this being the Department of Health and Social Care. And I remember going to meet some of the staff there, and in London, actually met people face to face. And Lucy was piloting all that. Lucy, you've been training today?
Hi there, Phil. Lovely to see you again, and hopefully you can hear me and see me, because it was thinking about it for a bit too long then.
No, we're good. We're good, thank you.
Brilliant. Lovely to see you again. And it's been a while since we met back in London. Lots happening since then. My name's Lucy. I'm Head of Sustainability at Department of Health and Social Care, which is DHSC, which is a UK government department. Like you say, we're very interlinking relationship with our fantastic National Health Service. So do you want me to just give a bit of an overview, Phil, about why we've been doing this and what we've done today?
Yeah, let's do that. Health, social care and climate.
Sounds
just
great.
Link those briefly if you can.
That was something we were really keen to pull out in this training. So obviously our department is home to a lot of individuals and colleagues who are very passionate about environmental issues because of their interaction with health. And as we know, the climate crisis is a health crisis, and it couldn't physically be more inextricably linked to the work that our colleagues do. So we've been really keen to develop a bespoke civil service / healthcare training pack for our colleagues in the department, but also our partner health agencies, health arms and bodies as we call them, which has those two elements, like focus on civil service, what we can do as civil servants and UK policy, but also those impacts on health, our delivery of healthcare, and also the impact of healthcare itself and its own carbon footprint. So I think there's absolutely an opportunity there to just maximise our impact, given our links. And actually, we represent a relatively small chunk of total government emissions, but a huge influence on the wider healthcare sector. So absolutely pivotal for us.
Indeed. So sometimes we do deal with organisations whose own footprints are relatively modest, and yet their clout is extraordinary. And enabling people to get that into their heads and exercise that, maximize the impact on their sphere of influence. So who have you been training today? What have you been up to today, Lucy?
So today we thought, well, what better time to run that training for the first time than on Carbon Literacy Action Day, and just to give a big thank you to kick off to Will, Louise and Chris from Carbon Literacy Project for helping us get all of that ready in time, which is fantastic. We didn't want to miss this. So I know today was supposed to be a kind of catalyst for further action, and we thought, well, this is a perfect day for us to share this with our partner health agencies and enable them to roll it out within their own organisations if they wish. So we have co-delivered today carbon literacy training alongside my sustainability colleagues in 2 of our partner agencies, which so thanks to NHS Business Services Authority and Care Quality Commission for delivering with us today. So 13 colleagues critically, we haven't got the same numbers that some other people are citing yet, but but critically from 7 different key partner agencies of ours, and that includes National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, or also known as NICE, NHS Counter Fraud Authority, NHS England, Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, MHRA, NHS Business Services Authority, NHS Blood and Transplant and Care Quality Commission. So
if we had a meter for clout, what's that phrase? You've just cranked it to 11, haven't you? It's really, really something. You could just imagine any one of those agencies upping their ask on footprint of the many organizations they look over. Quite extraordinary. So sometimes it's not about quantity, is it? It's
absolutely
quality, you know.
Exactly.
So and you're at the very, very beginning of that process, and I hope you saw what Josh was saying about Transport for London and their extraordinary boom and the way they built their capacity there. So loads to call on. Lucy, I'm concluding every interview this way. I wish we could speak longer, but we do have loads to get through. But I've got a feeling we'll be hearing much more about your pioneering work in your part of the UK government. So thanks so much. Cheers.
Thanks so much, Phil. Lovely to see you again. Thanks, everyone.
And for those folk wondering what we're saying about toolkits and the like, we do have a shareable training kit for civil servants, which is where Lucy's journey started. And will no doubt put a link to that in the chat as well. So Lucy, thanks again. Take care. And we make a great thing about this being for everyone. So we've just talked to this UK government department with its huge clout, which is not to diminish the influence of the small. So what started with us as a generic local council training kit quickly was adapted into something for leadership, something for elected members. And someone said, well, hang on, there's a whole bunch of councils for whom this is not quite applicable. So we've now developed a course for small councils, including parish councils. So in a place called Brixworth, there's been training going on, and it's been brought to us by Councillor Christine Ware. Let's get this right, shall we? Christine, thanks so much for joining us. What everyone's asking, where's Brixworth?
Where's Brixworth? Let me. This is a bit of a canter through what we're doing in Brixworth, but it's also my opportunity to be a bit of a tour guide Barbie. So I've got some pictures to show you of what we're doing and how we're doing it. So
for some reason, there we go. We've got the whole of the picture there. Thank you.
Have you got it?
Yeah.
Lovely. So welcome to Brixworth. This is right bang smack in the middle of England. We couldn't be further away from the sea if we tried. And we are a very mixed little community. We have about 5,000 people living in Brixworth, and we've got everything from a beautiful Grade 1 listed church to houses that were built 6 months ago. We are a farming community, and probably around 8 miles from Northampton to the north. We are experiencing our own climate emergency. Floods are getting worse. We are quite elevated in Brixworth, but we're still having floods, and you can see our little phone box got a dousing last winter. And we're also having tarmac melting because it gets so hot in our little village. So we decided that we were going to support West Northants Council and declare a climate emergency in Brixworth. So we have our green framework. It's our statement of intent, and if you like, it's a type of planning document for whenever we, the council, are trying to do something in the village. We make reference to the green framework to see whether what we're trying to do fits with our intent to reduce carbon within the village and also to support biodiversity too. So the green framework and our environmental policy go hand in hand. And it all sounds very grand, but what does it mean in practice? Well, we support our local allotment to grow local food. The local allotment people are incredibly good, and they produce more than they need, so they pass it on into the community too. So it's a real circular thing within the community. We've been working with local farmers to educate the community around regenerative farming. This farmer is a local farmer, and he very kindly spent time talking to residents about his farm and how buying local is really important. We have a community larder. So we are saving around 0.5 ton of food going into landfill each week. It's really important on lots of different levels, because not only are we helping keep food in people, not in landfill, we're also helping the cost of living crisis that we've got as well. And you can see 2 of our lovely volunteers up there in the top right. That's Tom and Leslie. We have introduced a community minibus. We are rural. We suffer because we don't have an awful lot of public transport. This is an on-demand service that goes round various villages smaller than Brixworth, and we take our mature people to supermarkets. They come to Brixworth, where we've got cafes and a library, and they can take advantage of all things. So not only, again, are we reducing our carbon footprint, but we are also helping our community stay linked. Some of our people had not been out of their own village under their own steam until we started to do the shopper hopper. We are linked with other villages. It can feel very lonely as a small parish out there when you're trying to do your stuff. So we work together. Green Welford is a sister village, and they had a kids festival where they were talking about all things climate. We helped out there. We had a climate awareness day in Harleston, where we had lots of businesses we had all sorts of things there, from recycling to how do you change the heating in your very old stone built house to make it more climate friendly. And Climate Action West Northants is Corn. And again, we just try and wire everything up. We try and keep each other aware of what we're all doing so we can share best practice. We're looking at active travel, and we're planting trees. So that's the stuff that's going on in Brixworth.
That's fantastic. And I just, if anything could epitomize small is beautiful, I think you've just done that. It's fantastic. Bringing this home to your fellow councillors, your parish clerk, probably one person who's actually there to, on the paid side. And then I'd love that cascade out into the rest of the community, including farmers, and that's fantastic to get into that community as well. So Christine, thank you so much for joining us and being part of this extraordinary event and showing how that right down at the micro level we can really make a difference and help stitch things together. And we look forward to hearing more about your story as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
It's funny, we've been talking about the impacts of extreme weather. Ongoing seems to be a running theme somehow. And we were going to go to the extraordinary gathering that's been held in Weston-super-Mare in North Somerset, where a huge venue was hired by North Somerset Council, and anyone could come for free carbon literacy training. We were going to hear from them. I say were because they're experiencing expecting extreme rainfall there, which was going to shut the railways, and a whole bunch of learners were going to get stranded. So the post-training gathering, which is rumoured to be in a pub, was cancelled because everyone had to get home. And there went our live link to Weston-super-Mare. Sadly, I'm sure we'll hear from them in retrospect another time, but we did in the course of the day get a very quick look at what was going on, and we're just going to see a very quick little snippet here of what was going on from the intro. You might be able to hear what was being said. It's just a little flavour. If you could play now.
Our values, looking at our values, what matters to us, why do we exist, our influence and impact. We have, as a council, we actually have our impact in terms of emissions is about 2%, but in terms of our influence, what we can influence in our communities and through our business.
That's the first time I've got through to 6:15 without messing up on the mute until now. Hey ho. So yes, extraordinary to see that mass training going on. North Somerset have been doing fantastic stuff on the climate front generally, particularly with their carbon literacy across sectors as well. So some great examples to learn from there as well. This was a very international webinar, so much so that we've been defeated by time zones. I really should have looked up what the time in Lima, Peru is. But I don't know, other than knowing it's thoroughly antisocial. So we've asked the trainers that have been training in Lima, in Peru, to explain a bit about what they're doing. The organization is called Fab Lab, who are about empowering people with technical skills, and it's an international movement, and they've taken on carbon literacy for a very interesting cohort. So we're going to have another quick video there if we're very lucky. Let's see if that happens.
Hi, I'm Estefania Cavalier and I'm part of Fab Lab Lima. We are really happy to join Carbon Literacy Day and be the first in delivering carbon literacy in Peru. At Fab Lab Lima, we seek to encourage Peruvian citizens and especially the ancestral communities of Peru to learn and use new tools that allow them to incorporate sustainability in their daily life. We know that knowledge inspires people to make big change, and why not become agents of change.
Hi, I am Beno Juarez from Peru. We are excited to participate in the Carbon Literacy Day because it is a great opportunity to bring the global knowledge about the carbon impact in the Amazon rainforest and different communities, and also to bring the ancestral knowledge from the Amazon communities to the world in order to reverse the global warming.
I decided to join the Carbon Literacy Action Day because I think that raising awareness of climate change requires carbon literacy training. This is not only essential for our present, but also for building a sustainable future. I invite you to be part of this global initiative.
Twice in 2 minutes, so sorry. I sort of thought this would happen, that I would be stunned by what we were going to hear today. When we look back at how we started with Dave and I starting to dream this, literally sharing a desk in a shared office place in Manchester, and the idea that we're hearing about training underway in Peru, not just underway, but with that amazing focus on their ancestral communities and the knowledge that can be learned from them coming back into the climate arena. It's just, yeah. I literally could not have imagined it in my wildest dreams. So we might have a chance to reflect there before we end. We're going to have a final contribution now from someone definitely in an antisocial time zone. We've talked over the last couple of years to the Western Australian city of Perth, where various initiatives starting with the university have been coming to fruition there. And they've been participating in the project, born out of their Department of Water and Environment for the state government there, linked in with Edith Cowan University. So we're just going to have a quick insight into what they've been doing with our final video of this webinar.
So Carbon Literacy Action Day 2023 is here at the Department of Water and Environmental Regulation in Western Australia, Perth, with people online from across the state, and they're going to give us a couple of statements about what today has meant to the department. Millie.
Thanks, Nikki. So for me, education has been key. If we know why something's important, it will help to drive the change.
Great. And Karen.
Being carbon literate has helped me understand my carbon footprint and given me information and tools to minimise my impact and to be part of the global solution.
Fantastic. And we look forward to seeing how many other people from around the world are going to be carbon literate today on CLAD Day in alignment with COP28. Thanks all.
Again, rather picturing myself that this has happened literally all around the world. We're going to just reflect on what we've heard here, but without warning her that this was going to happen, Chloe, have we had any further updates on numbers or anything? No worries if we haven't. I was just literally just curious.
So no, I've just shared in a chat with you all actually a form where everyone can feedback, now that it's nearly the end of the day, pretty much across all the different nations that we've heard of. So if you could fill the form with like the final, numbers of learners that you train, that would be fantastic. And it means that we can share the information with you all. Yeah, no, I don't have like any number. Sorry, Phil.
No, you don't need to. I'm apologizing for not warning you that I'd ask you to join us. But then we've just. I hope you've been keeping an eye on the chat. Thanks, Amy. And thanks, Chloe. Another 7 coming in from Cardiff. I'm going to ask Dave to come and join me now to look back, because Dave, I mean, we plan these things and I'm never quite sure how it's going to land and what we're going to hear. How's it landed with yourself?
It is amazing, actually. You stole one of my lines that I was going to use to try and sum things up. That when we first sat down and kind of conceived of this, look, carbon literacy. Oh, maybe we could do something interesting with that idea. It's literally from Perth to Peru. I can't believe you didn't go for that line.
Me neither.
But all over the world, people working on carbon literacy, and the fact that we can all come together as a community, and we're all doing things that make a difference where we are, but all come together and share these things and take optimism from what everybody is doing is uplifting, genuinely uplifting. So
simply that, and as you can imagine, I mean, if you're watching this, you'll probably share the occupational hazard of climate anxiety, because we have to look at climate news as part of our interest in the whole topic. But when we look at this, and in this webinar, we are just scraping the surface of what's gone on today, let alone what's going on across the carbon literacy project across the world. And that rate of growth that you'll be aware of as well. We're just, every session that is run reduces the carbon footprint on the planet. And we keep holding back to that, whatever the strange comments that might be coming out of COP and elsewhere, and the pushback from the fossil fuel industry, etc. We're cracking on. Would you agree with that, Dave?
Yep, absolutely. I'm kind of holding fire because there were some things I wanted to say right at the end as part of my summary. I don't want to kind of fire my ammunition prematurely, but
that's fine.
It is one of those things, though, that we see the same news stories that everybody else sees, and carbon literacy is a way of lifting some of that doom and gloom, because it means that there's something practical that we can do that actually we know makes a difference, because we're there, we're making that difference, and we can see it actually happening.
Yeah, obviously, if we have any questions, we can throw those into the last 5 minutes or the last 3 minutes, really. But just to reflect also, I think if you're watching this, whether live or recorded, you'll get a sense of our collective strength. And I think for any individual project that wants to grow, the sorts of stories that you're hearing today and the many, many others that come across our desks collectively at the project can help you strengthen what you're doing. I was talking to, let's just say, a well-known energy retailer expecting to have to explain why they should do this. Actually, they weren't interested in that. They said, no, we've heard of carbon literacy. We know what you're doing across all these different sectors. We just want to know how. Now, that sort of endorsement is down to this critical mass that every one of you participating in this have helped create. Also, and sorts of scale of those cascades that can be initiated through all sorts of sectors. But let us assist you if you're seeking to grow what you're doing, to get more people on board, to unlock the power of some of those stories that can make this thing succeed for yourselves. We're very much at your service for doing that. Also, please keep an eye on our social media channels, our amazing marketing and communications team, putting out stories left, right, and center, which again should help power you. You would have got a sense with this about how many of the things going on that you've heard today could help yourselves. Come back to us, let us know what you can do, and tell people about this webinar. It's quite a good watch, I hope. Dave?
I was just going to say, Phil, that there was a comment in the chat from Kira Curtis just saying, some of these stories are really, really inspirational. We'd love to see some more of these videos at greater length. So it's worth drawing attention, as you were, to the fact that we have sector leads that work in different sectors of society. They have detailed knowledge of that sector. They produce resources. They work with organisations in that sector, and will often produce video content, which then goes onto a toolkit page on our website. But equally, we have a whole advocacy team of people working with all sorts of organisations, and our comms team culls all of the best video content that we're constantly being sent. We send it out through our social media channels, particularly through our Pioneers LinkedIn channel for trainers and consultants, but also through our newsletter and other ways. So we try and disseminate as much of this as possible. So check out those resources, check out our YouTube channel. We've got lots of inspirational stuff on the YouTube channel. But if there's anything that we've got that is helpful to you to inspire your learners and the people that you're influencing, by all means, make use of it.
Thanks so much, Dave. I'll let you wrap up in a second. I really just wanted to say thanks to everyone that's made this webinar possible. Complex to put together. So for every participant that's contributed to this webinar, which will be available as a recording in whole and in parts, thank you so much for that. Thanks to Fiona backstage managing the technicals, and Chloe for masterminding the whole of the project. Your first time at that, and so fun, amazing work to pull that all together. But without further ado, I'll hand over to wrap things up to you, Dave.
Thanks very much, Phil. A special thank you from me to Chloe as well, who's been working on this day as a project for 6 months, just to bring everything together. All of the organisations you will all know because you've been in touch with Chloe. But great job, Chloe. Well done. And thank you also to you for attending this event, but very much for the work and the contribution you've made today and all the different activities that each one of you has taken part. As ever, we use this term a lot in the project, but the whole is far greater than the sum of the parts. And that's very much true of today. Sometimes conveying these messages, and as a trainer, if you're a trainer, you'll be really familiar with this. You can feel very isolated. Climate change is a difficult and at times uncomfortable subject to get across to people, to deal with the emotional content of all of that. And it can feel like you're slogging away on your own, and it feels like you're very much alone. And is it only me that's doing this? And it's always good to connect with other people, and it's always good to connect with other trainers and other organizations. And one of the ideas of today was to bring everyone together right across the piece in terms of sectors, but right across the piece in terms of our global audience. From literally, as I said earlier, Perth to Peru, we have organizations, all of us working in the same issue, collaboratively, working together, but also doing it in a way that has meaning for us and for the people that we work with. We're looking at COP, and we're seeing some of the headlines that come out of COP. Some of them are positive, some of them are not positive. But the really good thing about carbon literacy is that it gives us control to make a difference. We always say that the antidote to fear is action, and the antidote to climate fear is climate action. And carbon literacy is a tool that we can use to deal with our climate fear and take climate action where we are with the people that have meaning to us. And that's exactly what we've all been doing. Thank you so much for coming together today to share all of the stuff that you have been doing and all of the brilliant work. And thank you for today and all of the good work that you do. From the Carbon Literacy Project, thank you for today and good luck in everything you do. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye now.